Tips for how to answer the question, how does your injury or illness or condition limit your ability to work when the standard of disability in your ERISA case is now an inability to do any occupation? Now, once you've been paid your own occupation benefits, which is normally for 2 years, you become eligible for benefits called the any occupation benefits. And the key, of course, is how that's defined in your policy. But normally the question is, how does your medical condition limit your ability to perform any occupation in view of your age, your skill level, and whatever your restrictions, limitations might be? And the reality is, if you can do at least sedentary work, the ERISA disability carrier or claim is going to say, well, too bad, so sad, because you can do other work. And that's the carrier's game. And one of the tools that they have in their denial toolbox is to use your activity of daily living form to argue that you can do a sedentary job. So when you're approaching the end of your own occupation benefits and you're asked to fill out an updated ADL form, I want you to be thinking differently about how to fill out the form. So I want you to take out a piece of paper and write down, based on each of your disabling medical conditions, the functional problems that you would have doing any one of the following. Because remember, the key is why you can't do a full-time sedentary job. So think about why you couldn't do a full-time job and write down all the symptoms and how those symptoms impact your ability to do a full-time job. Next, in the next column, doing a full-time job that would require you to sit down all day. What are the problems, the symptoms that you would have, and give some examples of functionality. How about doing a full-time job that will require you to use your upper extremities and hands on a repetitive basis? Because most sedentary jobs do require that you are using your hands in a bilateral fashion. Now think about what problems you might have with pace and production. Would you be able to meet the pace and production requirements of a sedentary job? If not, why not? What are your symptoms? What problems would you have with concentration? Write down those symptoms and give examples. Might you have problems with absenteeism? So you got to write that down. Like, I have trouble starting something and completing it. I, vacuum the rug and I'm in bed the next 2 days. Saying you can't do a sedentary job or an occupation isn't enough. You've got to give enough information about your medical condition and how that limits your ability to do a sedentary job. Now, you don't have to write a novel, but you want to make sure as you're filling out the form that these answers are complete and that someone reading these answers could see in their own mind's eye why you couldn't do a full-time, easy job sitting down all day and potentially using your hands. Now, make sure what you're saying is consistent with your medical records, because consistency is one of the reasons why a disability carrier is going to deny a claim. If you have any questions about your rights to ERISA disability benefits, call me today at 727-894-3188. And if your claim has been denied or terminated, you're only going to have 180 days in which to file an appeal. Call me today at 727-894-3188. I can help you regardless of where you live in the United States, regardless of your disabling condition, and regardless of who that disability carrier might be. 727-894-3188.